Alright, so Huo Huo is about to get her second rerun banner in Honkai Star Rail, and she is still a pretty solid character overall. So today, I want to first give a quick recap for her kit and what she does. Then we're going to talk about how good she is and whether or not it is going to be worth pulling for her. And I'm going to be talking both for people who don't have Huo Huo and are going to get their first copy, as well as players who have Huo Huo but maybe thinking about whether or not they want to do a bit more vertical investment with getting her signature or getting an Eidolon for her. Starting out with Huo Huo's kit here, she is a Wind Abundance character, and she serves two main roles on the team. The first role she serves is that she heals, and she can heal by using both her skill and her talent. So her skill is a blast heal, meaning that it's going to heal a main target plus the targets adjacent to them, and will also provide a cleanse for that main healing target. And her skill also actually works well with her talent, because upon using her skill, she's going to gain Divine Provision. Now, Divine Provision will last for 2 turns, and she also gets a 1-turn Divine Provision at the start of battle from her A2 trace. While Divine Provision is up, anytime an ally uses their ultimate, or when they start their turn, that ally will receive healing, and also any allies with less than 50% HP will also be healed. Also, if there is an ally with a debuff when they get healing from Divine Provision, they will actually be cleansed of that debuff when they get their healing from it. And Divine Provision can provide this cleanse up to 6 times, and if you reproc Divine Provision by using Huo Huo's skill, you are going to be able to reset that counter as well. Then Huo Huo's second role is actually she is a pretty solid buffer as well for the entire team. And this is all done through her ultimate here, which is going to give 2 very good team-wide buffs. The first one is that all allies will regain 20% of their energy when Huo Huo uses her ultimate. And then secondly, all allies will get a 40% attack buff for 2 turns. So you are going to be able to not only have faster ultimate cycles with all your characters, but you're also going to be able to get a pretty nice attack buff for them as well, in addition to whatever harmony you're likely running on your teams. So that is really everything we need to know about Huo Huo. So now let's talk about how good is she right now in the game. I would say she still is one of the best healers in the game. I would say she's very comfortably in terms of just healers and not including, sustains that are shielders. I would say she is probably number 2 still. Some very solid and consistent healing, as well as the nice buffs on her as well, are very good. And she is going to work pretty well on basically any team with an attack scaling DPS. Now, it is important to note this because there are, as we're seeing with Maide, who's going to be coming out at the same time as this rerun banner, we are seeing some HP scaling, DPS stuff going around, and if we get other future DPSs that, even if it's not just HP scaling, if they're scaling on anything besides attack, Huo Huo is not going to be as great with them in comparison to other, sustains. So because of that, depending on the characters you're going for, Huo Huo may not be as valuable as other sustains, but I think all in all, in a lot of situations, since most DPSs still are attack scaling, then you're going to be able to get a lot of value out of Huo Huo. So now, let's talk about whether or not you should pull, and I'm going to start here for the players who don't have Huo Huo at all. I think Huo Huo overall is a great investment if you don't have at least 2 limited sustains. Or if you have a E6 Gallagher plus 1 limited sustain, is probably also fine, since Gallagher is kind of just built different for a 4-star. But if you are running very specific comps that are more niche, or I shouldn't say niche, but more so have specific mechanics. Like for example, the break teams would benefit more from Linksha than Huo Huo, just based on the way Linksha's kit works. If you're running more like a follow-up team, like the Fei Xiao Premium follow-up team, sustain like Aventurine is probably going to be a bit more valuable than Huo Huo. And the one thing for Huo Huo as well, despite the fact that she can still buff these 2 characters, you do lose a little bit of synergy with Acheron and Fei Xiao, simply because those 2 characters don't have energy. So while you're getting the attack buff for them, which is going to be good, you're not getting their ultimates any faster with Huo Huo, when if you run them with a character that can benefit that more. Like for example, for Acheron, you could run a preservation character with the Trend of Universal Market Light Cone for more ult stacks, and then for Fei Xiao, you can run Aventurine to use his follow-up to get more ult stacks for her as well. So while Huo Huo doesn't work extremely well on those teams, if you don't have the best sustains for those teams, and your account is just struggling for sustains in general, I think she's a pretty solid investment regardless, because there are plenty of attack scaling DPSs. I'm sure we'll get more in the future. I feel like they're not going to fully switch to just different stats for DPS scaling. I feel like attack is going to be the primary one regardless, despite the fact that we are about to get an HP scaling DPS character. So now let's go on to the more veteran players who may want to vertically invest in Huo Huo. Now, she does have a pretty solid, both S1 and E1, but I feel like in terms of the amount of benefits you get, I would probably give a slight edge to her S1, her signature light cone here. So for the S1, it gives you an unconditional 12% energy regen, which is going to be great to get her ultimate faster. Also, anytime when an ally uses their ultimate, there's an additional 10% heal that goes out to the ally with the lowest HP. So it's going to make your healing more consistent as well, and there's no HP threshold on it, kind of similar to how, or not like how the Divine Provision heal works for the low HP allies. And anytime you heal an ally with the S1, that ally gets plus 2.4% attack for 2 turns, and this can stack up to 5 times. So you can get a nice little attack buff. It's not super crazy, but pairing that with the ultimate as well, you're going to have some pretty solid attack increase for that character. And because of the energy regen and also the little buff as well, especially for healers that don't have any buffs in their kit like Huo Huo does, not only is this light cone going to be great for Huo Huo, it can also work on several abundance characters, given that you are running them on teams that do have a attack scaling DPS character. This light cone actually ends up being an overall really good account investment, especially if future abundance characters come out, because as long as they want to use their ultimate and are going to be healing a good amount, they're going to be able to benefit from this light cone here. Now, to compare that to Huo Huo's E1, really the best part of her E1 is that you get an additional turn of Divine Provision. So instead of a 2-turn duration, it's going to be a 3-turn duration, which lets you be a little more SP positive, since you don't have to use her skill while you have Divine Provision up, unless your allies are really just not doing well health-wise. And also with the E1, while Divine Provision is active, all allies get a plus 12% speed, which in some situations could be nice, but for players who do speed tune their team specifically, for certain situations and certain speed thresholds, this can mess up your speed tuning and just have you completely have to rework your characters. So a bit of a double-edged sword, because more speed can be good, but some people do speed tune teams very specifically for very specific rotations. So any kind of speed boost like that can definitely mess that up. And overall, these, the E1 has, very nice upgrade for the Divine Provision, turn limit increase. But I think just looking at the amount of benefit you get, not just for Huo Huo with the signature light cone, but also if you were later on, if Huo Huo maybe isn't your best option anymore in the future, swapping that light cone over to a future abundance character could also still be a very good investment. So that is everything there for Huo Huo. She's a very solid character. I don't think I am going to end up vertically investing in her, since I just have her at E0 as 0, but she definitely is a very valid character to vertically invest in if you are using her a bunch on your account. So that is going to be it for me. Let me know what you all think in the comments down below. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed and want to see more content from me, be sure to hit that subscribe button. But with that, everyone, I will see you all next time.